Good morning, everybody. So, unfortunately, or fortunately, who knows? I guess depending on your mood, it's just me today on the show. There were some like really, really bad storms last night, and it seemed to have affected Nita's ability to be able to stream this morning. So there was a lot of storms on my end too, and luckily it kind of cooled off the heat and the humidity that was happening for this past week, but it's still going to be a little tough getting through because it's still a little too hot for my taste, but that's how it goes. So today is June 15th, 2026 on this almost sultry Monday again. And it is also Kickstarter Day. Today is going to be the launch of EGORAVEN Volume 3 on Kickstarter. The link is in the chat and in the show notes. And yeah, it's just going to be you and me today. So thank you so much for joining, and let's get this started. See you on the other side. There we are. So who's keeping me company today? So of course we have Lou. Good morning, Lou, and Lorraine sneaking a peek from work, and little Dixie is joining us today. And of course, here is the one and only Jody. Um And Melissa, thank you, Melissa. And Art Victim is joining me also in the chat. And yes, I see you. Our beautiful eyeball people watching from regions beyond. If you are joining us from Facebook, please come on over to YouTube, join the sexy people in the chat, keep them company. And while you're here, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever any of our shows go live. Hello, Sunny. Hello, welcome. So like I said, I'm by myself today because the storms took out Nita, at least, temporarily. Luckily it didn't affect anything on my end because here in my neighborhood, everything just happens to be buried, all the wires and stuff. And whatever isn't buried, I'm using T-Mobile anyway to get my internet. So that doesn't seem to be affected. So we're all good. So like I said, today we are launching EGORAVEN Volume 3, which collects hold on, let me just there we go, which collects issues 9 through 12 of this 16 issue series. Right now, what you're looking at is the pre-launch page. I figure I'll give everybody until 11:15 to kind of get, come on in and make yourself comfortable, and and check out the pre-launch when, before I launch the page. So yeah. Oh, hello, Nandi. Hello, welcome. So yeah, so you can click on the notify me button so that you'll get an email from Kickstarter the second my campaign goes live. But we'll talk about more of that in a minute. So also along with it being like just building up to being uncomfortably humid in this office, I unfortunately also have some construction going on in literally the kitchen right next to me, as opposed to the kitchen that's not next to me. This is the only kitchen. So we're doing some construction there. So hopefully it won't be too distracting. Although if it does get too bad, I might have to cut the stream short, but hopefully not. It's like they're kind of in a position where they're just putting in cabinets, so hopefully it won't be too noisy. So let's see, what do we got here? I think my frame here kind of stopped. Let's see. I don't know. Something's going on with I'm still it's like it's kind of weird for me having to like run everything myself at the same time. Well, I'm used to Nita kind of like taking care of things, so now I have to remember where everything is. So let me just put this on. I found the ticker the other day. They had done a update so that I can run the ticker above as opposed to below. So that's really convenient. I like that. So that's just pretty much what's going on. So if it gets a little noisy in the background, I apologize for that. And if it gets too noisy in the background, like I said, I might have to stop the stream a little bit early, but I think we're going to be okay. So we have so I think that's pretty much what's been going on. I mean, it's like I'm glad that Kickstarter has decided to kind of like calm down on a lot of things. So hopefully we'll be able to launch this without a hitch. Also, if you have pledged to my previous House of Bob campaign, my sketchbook, my furry sketchbook campaign, um, not me sitting on the Kickstarter page and attempt to be backer number one. Like, thank you, Melissa. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So if you pledge to my House of Bob campaign, most like 99% of all the commissions are out. I still have one more commission left to finish, which, like I said, in with all the construction that's going on, the remodeling that we're doing in the house, it's been a little bit difficult to actually work on stuff, especially of a House of Bob nature. But hopefully I'll be able to get this commission out before the end of the month. There's got to come a point where I have to force myself to do, to really work on this piece. And then I can start showing off all the pieces that I've done for House of Bob. If you want to follow me on my Fur Affinity page, that's where I will be posting all of the artwork, all the commissions that I have done for House of Bob. If you want to check that out, of course, because of the nature of the artwork, you're going to have to be signed in. You have to have an account on Fur Affinity, especially to see the more adult stuff. So if you want to check out my more furry stuff, you can go check it out on Fur Affinity. But also in the meantime too, I have been working on EGORAVEN issue 13. I am trying to get through the page 17. I'm on page 17 right now, out of 32 pages. Again, like I said, it's been a little slow going because of everything that's been going on, but I'm hoping to have that issue completed by the time this campaign ends, so that after I fulfill volume 3, we can go ahead and run the campaign for issue 13 for everybody who prefers to collect individual issues as opposed to trade paperbacks. And of course, because I'm by myself, I completely forgot the most important thing. Hello, everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing fantasy comics since 1992, and I am known for my furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales, and of course, my medieval fantasy drama EGORAVEN, Heir of the First Unicorn. Both you can read online right now for free at egoworks.com. That's EGOWORKS. So that way, if you're not familiar with the series or you're just hearing about this for the first time, you can actually check out the series for free on my website. And then it's like you can decide whether you want to join us on the Kickstarter and pick up the trade paperbacks. Because it's a 16-issue series, the trade paperbacks, the three volumes, it collects issues 1 through 12. So we just have one more volume left to complete the series, which is going to be a major milestone for me. So it's a couple of more minutes that I'm giving everybody to come on in. Also, the thing too is, like, I do have a couple of topics that I want to talk about, after we kind of like get this officially started. Because I had learned a couple of things over the weekend, which I kind of thought was pretty interesting. And I don't recall ever hearing people really talk about, especially in this crowdfunding ecosystem that we're in with indie comics. And not only that, but it's because, as what I've been reading goes, it's actually because of the crowdfunding environment that this topic actually exists. And like I said, we're going to get more into it. It is the loss of what did they call it? The middle tier comics. Right. It's kind of like the middle class of comics of indie comics, which I really didn't think about. And I was like, oh my God, I really got to talk about this on the show. And I was setting up the thing, and then I remembered, oh snap, I'm at launching EGORAVEN on Monday. So it's like, I can't make that my main topic. But once we launch the campaign, we can get more into the comics of the proletariat. Yeah. So we can talk more about that. Because like I said, it wasn't really something I haven't even thought about. I mean, because sometimes you're just like, it's kind of like how fish, they don't know what you're talking about. If you ask them when you ask them how's the water, it's just that's their complete environment. Like they don't know that they don't know that they're in water. They just know that they're in their environment. So it's kind of like that in indie comics, where it's like there just comes a point where it's like, we just know this is the environment that we're in. And sometimes it's like we kind of like miss like some really big details because we're so hyper focused and just trying to like survive this environment. But like I said, we'll talk about this a little bit more after I launch and we do the whole campaign thing. So what I'm going to do, because we're just really close, I'm going to actually play the trailer, and then we'll come back and launch the campaign. So for those of you who are joining us, and EGORAVEN already, this is just going to be a video about Volume 3. And if you've never seen EGORAVEN for the first time, I hope that this video, the trailer, actually intrigues you to check it out. So here it is. So there you go. And oh, here we go. And EGORAVEN Volume 3 is now live. So hopefully Melissa got to be backer number 1. So I know that I must have checked this campaign over and over and over again. So hopefully I didn't miss anything. But if so, it's like I can hopefully fix it up later. So here we are. EGORAVEN, Heir the First Unicorn, Volume 3. And it is the story of EGORAVEN, a unicorn princess exiled into the mortal realm who trains to become a knight, hoping to win a king's favor and save her people. In Volume 3 of this 4-volume series, because it is 16 issues individual issues in total, EGORAVEN survives the ordeal of the tower, emerging with the title of Knight of Turnham. And as she returns to her enchanted kingdom, the stakes rise as she realizes the Dragon Lords are attempting to resurrect a goddess and start a war against the realm. After refusing a tempting parley with the manipulative and our favorite asshole, Prince Verlid, EGORAVEN is forced to assert her rightful claim to the throne of Edenron in a challenge brought by rival elves who resent her return. EGORAVEN is the story of trying to find your place in opposite worlds and learning the people who will stand by your side and lift you up are not the ones you'd expect. It's a sword and sorcery fantasy with a soap opera twist featuring character relationship-centered stories with unicorns, elves, dragons, and furries. And of course, and because of fantasy violence and adult situations, I recommend that this book be for mature readers. Although, as always, it's always if you are a parent looking to see if this book may be right, for your maybe like your middle grade child, it's like, always feel free to check it out first and make your decision that way. And I try to make it as easy as possible. You can download the entire first issue for free on this website, on the Kickstarter, so that you can, make a decision whether this is a story that you want to support and pledge to. So here are the sample pages for Volume 3. These are sample pages from issues 9 through 12. So kind of, just give you an idea of what the story is like. So yeah, and also available on this campaign. I mean, because I was surprised at how well these did. To tell you the truth, I am currently also writing a novelization for this series. So if you want an easier way to enjoy EGORAVEN, if for some reason you can't read the comics but you still want to enjoy the story, I have an in-progress novelization available as both PDF and EPUB files, so that you can read them on your Kindle or whatever e-reader that takes EPUBs. But like I said, it's also available as a PDF. So each chapter corresponds with the comic book issue, and it also includes extended and brand new scenes and lore not in the comic. That was one of the main reasons I wanted to do the novelization, because it would allow me to add in all this information that I could not have done in the comic without bloating up the story like into too many issues. And it's like it's two different mediums. The comic is a different medium from a novel, so and it's like, if you have like an audio e-reader, it's like you can actually have the book read to you if you have that capability. I've had people tell me that they have been able to run my comic book through e-readers because they have visual impairments and they were able to enjoy the story that way. But this gives you even more detail into the comic. So it's just like a fun way to see the differences and how the scenes kind of slightly change. So this is available on the campaign as well. Also available on the campaign is my illustrated prose prequel, A Legend of the Silk Rose, which is a story that takes place around like 20 years before the first issue, and it is about how EGORAVEN's parents met because a unicorn girl just doesn't show up out of nowhere. So this is kind of like more like a fairy tale style story. You don't need to read this to understand the main comic book series, but it adds a lot of information that I think it would enhance it. So that's also available on the campaign as well. And plus it has all these cool illustrations in it. And for the first time on any of my campaigns, I have a Zhang Brothers variant cover. So it is a variant cover, but not for the trade paperback. So what this is that I have the first the first issue of the comic of EGORAVEN, and this is a special reprint of the first issue with a Zhang Brothers variant. And I am so excited to be offering this cover on the campaign. And it's not just any cover, it's actually 3 covers. So of course you're going to have the standard trade dress cover. You're going to have a virgin variant of the main cover, and there's this absolutely gorgeous nude cover variant that is only available in virgin, no trade dress, along with no dress anywhere else. But it is absolutely gorgeous. It's the Zhang Brothers. It's a nude cover. It's like I don't have to explain much. However, thanks to the nonsense between Kickstarter and Stripe, I cannot show, or I don't want to risk showing the full version of this cover on this campaign, because even though Kickstarter says they don't have a trouble with it, they don't have any trouble as long as it's censored, Stripe might have a problem. So here is a detail of the nude variant for the Zhang Brothers, but trust me, when you get the cover, it's going to be the cover as you see here, except as a nude variant. I'm like I said, I'm so excited to have the Zhang Brothers on this campaign. I've been eyeballing this stuff for a while, and I finally pulled the trigger. And I am so happy that I did. Actually, I'm so happy that I did that. I had another cover done, and I have another cover in the works right now. So I'm a little addicted to Zhang Brothers covers, and they have just been knocking these covers out of the park. So I hope that, so if you're the type that enjoys variant covers and first issues, you have a chance here to get that along with the standard trade paperback. Also on this campaign, because it is a trade paperback, I thought to give you something a little bit different, something, so what I'm doing is I'm doing these little remarked book plates. They're signed with a little sketch of EGORAVEN. I only have a very limited amount of these, and what it is that you just place them in your book. Usually people get little photo corners and they stick them in the book. And each little sketch is original. So each one is, you're not, there are no duplicates. You're not going to get a duplicate. So it's with a sketch and, and my signature. And it's just something to zhuzh up the trade paperback a bit. So like I said, these are limited edition, and once they're gone, they're gone. So if you want that, if you like to collect original, like little original sketches, you can get the remarked book plate for for the trade. So as always, I try to make these books as accessible to everybody as possible. So you can always get just the PDF of the trade paperback along with the trade paperback, which comes with a PDF. So if you buy the PDF, if you buy the trade, the physical copy, you will automatically get a PDF of that book as well. So you have a choice of both. But if you just want to read it digitally, we have PDFs of everything here. Also, if you've never heard of EGORAVEN and you'd rather start from the beginning, get the first volume, and then catch up later, you can do that here too. You can start with volume 1 of EGORAVEN, which collects issues 1 through 4 of the series, and also that allows you to also set up your own level as well. So it gives you access to all the add-ons, and you can build it up based on the first volume. You know, and here I have a special set with the trade paperback and the remark card, signature card. Like I said, this particular set is limited to 12, and you know, so once they're gone, they're gone. Also, if you just want to catch up on the story, but you like individual issues, that's also on this campaign. We have it in both. Well, not both. We have it as a PDFs of issues 1 through 12, along with Tales from the Outer Kingdom and the prequel. So you get a digital library of the stories so far in one set. But we also have the trade paperback set, where it collects all 3 volumes plus the prequel and Tales from the Outer Kingdom, which is a short story collection that just features stories, EGORAVEN stories that they didn't have anywhere to fit in the main storyline, but I thought that they were like either too interesting or too cute to not, you know, leave them, you know, to not completely leave them out. So they have their own collections, so you can pick that up as well. Oh, and also if you want to collect the physical individual issues, that's also on this campaign. So like I said, you have a choice of a PDF set or a physical, you know, set of all the individual issues if you want to make, you know, if you want to collect it that way. And also here is the Zhang Brothers set. So what you're going to get here is you're going to get the trade paperback for volume 3, and you're going to also get the trade dress version, the virgin cover, and the nude version cover of the reprint of issue 1. So if you're a collector that enjoys that kind of thing, this is the level for you. And like I said, the nude cover I cannot completely show on Kickstarter because of stripe rules. So, but it's the cover that you see here, except it's a nude variant. And this is just a detail of that cover. So also we have the add-ons, we have the trading card set, we have we have the trade paperbacks, and we have the outer Tales from the Outer Kingdoms and the prequel for you to pick up to mix and match however you want with any of the previous levels. And of course, also on this campaign, are you looking for something a little bit more spicy, something that's a little bit off the beaten path? Then the infamous the Unicorn King's Daughter, also known as Medieval Unicorn Viking Slut, is available on this campaign as well as a 2-comic set. So you have the Unicorn King's Daughter, which is the main storyline, which is the main story. These are both one-shots. And then you have Medieval Unicorn Viking Slut, which is kind of an alternative ending to the Unicorn King's Daughter, but just a little different. It's the same story, but a little different. This has been, I don't have to tell you that this has been a popular thing on the add-on section, and it's there. So if you want to pick that up as well, both of these books, these are one-shots, so you don't have to know anything about the main storyline with the series to just enjoy these books. They're really alternative universe. It's based on a joke that kind of went out of control, and here it is. So if you want to check that out. If you missed any of my campaigns for my other series, Tall Tales, which is a fantasy adventure more akin to Lord of the Rings, it is also on this campaign. All the trade paperbacks are here, volumes 1 through 4 of Thieves Quest, volumes 1 of Tears of the Mother, and also the 2 one-shots, The Peacekeepers and or So I Thought, which is kind of a prequel to Thieves Quest. So this is all on the campaign, including a digital bundle in case you just want to get everything but you don't want the physical books, but you can get the individual physical books as well. Are you new to Kickstarter? Do you like instructions? Would you rather follow instructions? That is also on the campaign. So I have this little infographic here to kind of walk you through how to pledge the campaign if you are not familiar with the Kickstarter process. I'm hoping that that I made it easy enough for people to be able to pledge without an issue. And of course, here's me. It's about me. And here are some quotes from people, including Melissa in the chat, who have enjoyed EGORAVEN already and want to tell you why you would enjoy EGORAVEN as well. So that's pretty much the campaign. The books are proofed and ready to go. So here is the where's my cursor? All right. So the book is proofed and ready to go. So as you can see here, actually all of my books are pretty much ready to go. So here are the 3 volumes. And so what that means is that once the campaign is done, it's like I spend the week after the campaign just checking over everything, making sure everything's okay, making sure pledges are going through. And then all I have to do is just place the order with the printer, and hopefully within 2 weeks after that, I will have these in, and then I can get these books out to you as soon as they come in. Usually, my campaigns fulfill in about 2 months. With the comic campaigns, House of Bob is a little different. But I'm expecting to have this fulfilled and to you within a month and a half to 2 months after the campaign ends, so you don't have to wait that long for your books. So that's pretty much it for EGORAVEN Volume 3. The link is in the chat and in the show notes. And I want to thank the 7 people who have pledged $610 to the campaign so far. Thank you so much for your support. Like I said, it's like if this is if you're coming back, thank you so much for coming back. And if this is your first time here, welcome. And I hope you enjoy what you have seen so far. It intrigued you. The story is something that you think that you can get into and, make your pledge. So thank you so much for that. So enough about the Kickstarter. So again, thank you so much, everybody. For that, we'll come back to that before the end of the show. So let's see. Okay. Let's see. Let's clean this up a bit. There we go. There we go. And so there we go. So Melissa says, there we go. Sent it. Okay. And we're good. Okay, so the thing about the middle class of let's see. So let me just clean that up a bit. So that was like a concept that had popped up, when I was just looking for I don't remember what I was looking for. I think it's like I was just, I guess, just trying to get some ideas for talking, like for topics. Um, and this whole idea about a missing middle class in comics as a result of social media and crowdfunding. And what they mean by that is so so they were talking about like indie comics having this ecosystem where like where there's like three tiers that actually made up of indie comics. So you have the entry level tier. That's where all the newcomers, hobbyists, experimental creators, probably your zine makers, people who are like just making comics more as a hobby and to see whether this is something that they actually wanted to do. So there was like that entry level, right? There was that entry level tier, right? And the middle class, right, is I guess like where let's see, like it's like there were working creators, right? So they're not famous, but they're actually making a living off of this, off of doing comics, keeping themselves busy with it, right? And then of course you have the top tier. These are the people who are big publishers, stable careers, they have name recognition, the whole thing, so so like I guess what it is, like I never considered the hierarchy like that because we're kind of like, depending on how you look at it, it's like if you're doing this regularly, and using crowdfunding, I mean, it's like I kind of like always assumed that we were kind of like middle class. But the more I was like reading into that concept, it's like the more that's kind of what they were saying wasn't happening because of certain little details that kind of like we're not exactly like the middle class of comics. And what they were talking about, that like how now that we all have to perform for an algorithm, whether you're on social media or you're on a crowdfunding platform, that this performance for for the algorithm kind of flattened out like the landscape that we're in, right? So it's like, so now what it is that how algorithms, we see this everywhere, how it's like they reward extremes. It's like like viral, it's like the viral, virality and popularity. And if you don't have that, you get completely buried in the algorithm. You get completely buried, and it's very difficult for you to stand out, because it's like, unless you're performing or you're creating for virality and big trends, or or you're with a big company, and you're working on legacy IPs, or you're a legacy creator, no one's going to see you, or it's going to be incredibly difficult for people to see you and to know that you exist. So it's kind of like, oh my, it's like I'm doing my comics for reading, not scrolling. You know what it is. It's like I'm not creating my books for someone to just look at it, look at a cover for 30 seconds. It's like I want that, like more that that engagement, right? That acknowledgement that it's like, oh, I want to engage with your work beyond just the superficiality of a cover. So but at the same time, it's like you have the fans kind of say, well, I don't know. It's like, unless you're doing something big, I don't know you exist, because again, you get buried in the algorithm. And also the thing is too is that they were talking about was like there's really not a lot of mid-level publishers out there. Like I would not like I think it's like you either have people on the low tier, just kind of like barely above water, or like the closest you would get is like IDW and Boom and an Image. And I would not consider these people middle tier. These are kind of like like upper class, like upper middle class maybe. It's like that's why I'm still kind of like trying to work out like this information, like what it actually like means. But the one thing that was really like, so I was talking about, I was talking to Jose about this, right? And we were talking about like how it's like, yeah, that it's like that Kickstarter and self-publishing really made this easier for us to to actually do the work that we want to do, while conversely has made it a lot more difficult for us to be noticed. And and we were kind of like talking about like, okay, so if there's this like middle class of comics that nobody knows exists, why is that the case? Why don't they know like that? Why is it so difficult for us to like get this attention, right? And there was like a couple of theories, right? And like like one of the things that I was seeing was like, well, like the biggest issue with trying to find new comics that you don't know already is that there's no real like central location to find anybody. It's like everybody is spread around, like everybody is spread over like 20 platforms, and there's no real way for a fan to even know where to start. Like it's like, oh, it's like, who do they go to? It's like, what, I'd like to read more indie comics, but I have nowhere to go. Like, do I go to Webtoons? It's like, and that, do I go to Global Comics, which is, completely dominated by mainstream, right? And again, it's like, even if you go to Webtoons, it's completely dominated by the main people that Webtoons is promoting on their own. I was just recently reading how it's like the algorithm has completely wiped Webtoon Canvas off of the system, where it's like, because Webtoon Canvas is where anybody could just sign up for a free account and start uploading their comics, but their algorithm only promotes the Webtoon originals, which are the ones, the really popular ones. It's like, the ones who get seen are the people who really don't need the help, type of thing. And there was one thing that whenever this discussion gets talked about is, people say, it's like, oh, it's like, well, back in the day we had, part of, how we were able to find comics was reading Wizard. And in our case, in Indie Comics case, we had the Comics Buyer's Guide and we had Amazing Heroes, which was two publications that, that's where we were finding, like, if you wanted all the mainstream stuff and maybe like the quirky indie that made it, like, like Bone, you would read Wizard to find out, more about these books. But if you just wanted to like find like, okay, what indie comics are really circulating, you would have read Amazing Heroes and you would have read Comics Buyer's Guide. Because also the thing with Comics Buyer's Guide is that it made it like their advertising rates were like pretty inexpensive, so anybody could be able to buy an ad in Comics Buyer's Guide and get real exposure in comic book shops. And and I remember finding out a lot, like about a lot of comics, indie comics that I ended up collecting from Comics Buyer's Guide and from Amazing Heroes. So, but that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it's like, we have like websites like Bleeding Cool and everything that talk about comics, but they talk about mainstream comics. They don't really talk about indie comics, right? So that's not really considered like a hub where people can be exposed to different books, especially on our level. And and one of the things that was brought up that I think I think Jose had brought it up, and I kind of like found some separate corroboration to that, is that what's missing is that there is no review culture in indie comics, which what we're talking about is that when you're looking at this ecosystem as a fan, there are no tastemakers in indie comics, to kind of put it that way. There are no, there is no Siskel and Ebert of indie comics. It's like every other entertainment medium has a review culture where there are people who they review stuff. They review video. It's like, do you want to know about the latest games? There are people who review games and everything that's coming out. They review movies. They review the new albums. They review, like the new TV shows. There is an ecosystem of review and and taste making, and this is good, this is recommended, this is what we're recommending, this is, it's like, you're talking about IMDb, you're talking about, there's a review, Rotten Tomatoes, there's, what's the other aggregator site? Redbox, I think it is, that they do like movies, that they also do movies, and people, with novels, it's like Goodreads can make or break a publication schedule. It's like, if it's like everybody who reads your books, that the advanced copies, they put their reviews up on Goodreads before the book actually comes out, and then that way, when the book does come out, people already have an idea if this is something that they should be, looking for. You go on Amazon, there is not every little doohickey has somebody reviewing it. And you know what? And it's like, and most people read those reviews, no matter, how little. It's like, oh, I need this doohickey. Let's see what people say about this doohickey as opposed to this other doohickey, right? But indie comics doesn't have that. It's like, we have people trying to make award shows, which is all nice and good and feel good, but it doesn't mean anything without that review culture underneath it as a foundation. Academy Awards they're not given out willy-nilly. It all starts with an underlying review culture where it's like, critical reviews, and I'm talking about from critics, not bad reviews, where it's like they're used to see which movies are worth paying attention to for these awards, right? And it's like, oh, to see, so so it's like, it's kind of like, when I see people trying to say, oh, I'm making an indie comics award, right? Which usually never makes it past the first or second year, right? But it's like, it doesn't mean anything unless there's that review, like there's like this kind of like review consensus that's underlying it. So the awards don't make any sense. They don't hold any clout whatsoever. I mean, people want the clout of an award to say that it's like, oh, I won this award or I won that award. But it doesn't mean anything if nobody has ever heard of you and nobody is talking about you outside of you saying, I got this award. Mom gave me a trophy. I got a trophy, you know? So that was kind of like, so that was like initially, like kind of like the idea that we were kind of like talking about. Um, and then it's like, and then there was like this whole thing too, like another commentary that kind of caught my attention in terms of crowdfunding, where crowdfunding doesn't help this. Because all crowdfunding is, like I said, the algorithms reward extremes. So it's like the people who are getting the attention on crowdfunding, again, are the people who really don't need it. These are the people who it's like they've already created their own buzz, their legacy IP, their webcomic that they've been doing it for the past, 10 years, and they have a dedicated audience that follows them to Kickstarter. And then the rest of us are just like fighting for scraps. Right. And what the thing that I had read is that I also been kind of ruminating on is that crowdfunding is not where you build your career. It's not a career maker. Crowdfunding has more akin to freelancing and gig economy than it does to an actual career. And let's see. Melissa says awards are more so for the creator and nice recognition for your efforts, but I'm not sure the public at large is affected by it. Right? Yeah. But even then, it's like, without, like I said, it's like without that underlying foundation of taste making, I guess because I don't have another phrase for it. It doesn't really mean anything because it's like, oh, you got a little plaque. Who cares? I don't hear anybody else talking about your book. And, so what does your plaque mean? It's like, oh, so-and-so website gave me, a comic book of the year. You have comic book of the year and nobody's heard of you. There's no buzz. Where's the buzz? And that's the thing. It's like, so the whole thing about crowdfunding being more freelancing. So they were talking about, so, and this is also a feeling like every time I run a Kickstarter, it always feels like I'm starting over again. Right. And I always thought this was me, but it turns out that this is actually what I'm finding. This is kind of like a common underlying sentiment that it's like you can run 15 campaigns, 20 campaigns, 30 campaigns, and and it's like it never feels like you're actually gaining momentum. You're just running campaigns. And that's the feeling of always starting over. And and also from the fan point of view, they never hear about you until you're running a campaign. Like there is no buzz. There is nothing creating a real, like a genuine buzz outside of just a creator screaming into the void. And look, it's like, I know that I've said plenty of times that it's like, it's like, I don't really try to like listen to a lot of marketing shit anymore. But the one thing that does stand out is that people don't want to really hear from you about your book. They want to hear from other people. They want other people to justify the purchase. They don't want you to tell them how good your book is. Of course, you're going to tell them your book is good. But there's no corroboration. What they want is corroboration outside of you saying that, oh, this book, this book is good, that, it's like, and oh, I'm recommending this book. Again, review culture, right? It's like anybody can say their own book is good, but who else is saying your book is good? So the thing about crowdfunding actually being like more like freelancing or being in the gig economy, rather than being something that's growing your career, right? And it's like, it's kind of like, so, the whole thing is like, oh, I'm expected to be a brand, not a storyteller type of thing. I always, it's like, I kind of hate that shit. It's like, I want people to read my books and to actually connect with my books. But for some reason, I have to be like a character myself first, a brand, for anybody to pay attention to that. Right. And it doesn't, and again, it's like that. I've mentioned this before, and it's like in this constant trying to like banging your head against the wall, trying to become a brand first. That's why a lot of people burn out and you never see their books again, because it's like they're banging their head against this wall. They're, and it's like, and it's like, and they're not seeing momentum. They're running campaign after campaign after campaign, but it's like, it's like, it's either like, they're on this roller coaster. Well, people like it, people don't like it. You're making this much and it's not that much. And then it's like, or you're kind of like, you just plateau really quickly. And it's like, no matter what you do, I mean, and it's like, no matter what you do, these are the amount of people who are going to support your book, and that's it. And that's kind of where I find myself. And it's like, look, I am very, I'm incredibly grateful for the people who've stuck around with me for like 13, 12 issues and 3 trade paperbacks and one, and one special, and it's like, look, I'm at a point where it's like, what, this is my garden. This is my garden, and this is what I'm going to be cultivating. I'm going to concentrate on these people who have shown me that they enjoy my book, and I'm going to cater to them. It's like, because unless something outside of me changes, this is what I'm going to stick with. And it's like, and I'm always grateful for every person who joins, who decides they want to be a part of my garden, because it's like, look, I'm not a green thumb. And the fact that I can get at least, about like 150 people, between 130 to 150 people to buy my books regularly, it's like, yeah, it's like, that's, to me, that's a great feeling. And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that if I don't watch that garden, it could disappear just as quickly. So it's like, I have to be like really on top of making sure that I'm getting these books out and fulfilling, in a decent amount of time. And really, like I said, it's like just really being consistent with the audience that I have already. And it's not that dissimilar to freelancing. It's like feast or famine, right? Where it's like, there's no stability even with crowdfunding, because what you're doing is you're just doing campaign to campaign freelancing. You're not really building something that lasts. That's kind of like the thought that they were talking about. It's like, you're either selling books or you're not selling books. And, and it's like, and I'm just, it's like, like I said, I'm just kind of like ruminating on this thought and trying to get my thoughts together as to like, what do I do with this information? Do I do anything with this information? It's like, does it really mean anything, outside, of just me being curious about this thought process? As you can hear, it's like the construction on the kitchen continues. So kind of ruminating on this. So the thing that I figured is like, well, if review culture is a part of us having a hard time finding indie books that we would be interested in, then it's like, well, okay, so what do I do about it? So I decided to experiment a bit with my Substack with actually doing indie reviews. So I put one review up. Oh no, that is so far not a new bird. Although Einstein is enjoying it. Yeah, like I said, that is construction in the background. So like I said, it's like if it gets a little too consistent, I'm probably gonna have to we're gonna have to put a pin in my thought and save it for another time. But yeah, so what I did was I took a book out of my collection, an indie book, and decided to try my hand at writing a review. So it is on my Substack right now, and I want to see if I can okay, how many, maybe if I do once a week, right? Like I have a book already that I want to read and do a review on, and kind of get kind of that ball rolling, where it's like, okay, it's like if people are saying they're having a hard time finding books that they might enjoy, then it's like, okay, if that's something that I'm complaining about, then maybe this is something that I should be doing, you know, actually, reviewing, these books, So I put my first one up, but of course that also kind of comes into that weird zone where it's like, well, the reason why indie comics doesn't have a review culture is because everybody's kind of ultra sensitive to that type of thing. Well, it's like, is it a review? Are the reviews really helpful if everyone just says that it's like, oh yeah, it's great, or whatever, because they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings? Does the tiniest bit of criticism, is that enough to not make, indie creators want to actually be a part of this? It's like, well, I want people to find my work, but I don't want actual criticism of my work. I want people to engage with my work as long as they're just telling me they like it, so that's kind of a whole different conversation too. But yeah, but that was kind of the thing that yeah, I'm gonna have to let me just kind of wrap this up, where it's like, yeah, so it's like, if we're kind of feeling stuck as indie creators in this crowdfunding scene, in this convention scene, it's like, what has to change, right? What can we change? It's like, if everybody started doing reviews, actually actually review books, why they like it, what they don't like about it. It's like, but it's like they still enjoy it anyway, in spite of like the first review that I did for the book Band of the Crow. Yeah, I had an issue with their prologue in the book. But it wasn't enough of an issue. It was enough of an issue to stand out that I was going to talk about it. That's why I felt like this prologue didn't work. But it wasn't enough of an issue for me to not want to collect it. So just because I have, an issue with something doesn't mean that's oh, it sucks. No. It's like, I'm not saying that either. It's like, no, you don't get to tell me it sucks and then leave it at that. That's not a review. That's not a critique. And it's not helpful, because it's like, no, I want you to tell me. It's like, it's kind of like those annoying reviews on Amazon where it's like, you want the doohickey, but all anybody knows how to review is like, well, the box came damaged. The shipping box came damaged, so I'm taking off a star. What does that have to do with the actual doohickey? So it's like, I don't know. So it's like, so yeah, so it's this whole idea of there's a middle class of comics that's missing. And part of that is because we're all chasing algorithms that force us to not be the creators we're supposed to be, because it forces us to either to chase trends in order to get any algorithmic momentum, right? Which or it's like, what is it? It's like, what is it? It's kind of like, you burn out because you're chasing this, you're chasing the algorithm, um, and it's like, you don't know how, there's no discoverability. It's like, I don't know. Like I said, it's like, but the whole idea that really stuck in my head is the idea of like, Kickstarter is freelance. You have the initial build up, you do the campaign, and then the campaign ends, you fulfill, and then you start all over again. It's kind of like in freelancing, you build up to get the job, you get the job, you complete the job, and then it's like you start the process all over again to get the other job. And it's like, you know, houses, in the end, it's like, as easy as crowdfunding makes it for us to be able to get our books out directly to readers, like, it's not, it's like how do we like kind of like expand from that and make it less like especially if you're trying to make a career out of this, it's like, it's like, what, you make a career out of freelancing, where it's just like this cycle over and over and over again, right? Because it's like, the thing that it kind of makes me wonder, it's like, I'm working on issue 13 now. The series is 16 issues. What happens after I get to that? What happens after that 16th issue? It's like, what happens when this story is complete? What happens to the garden that I grew, from these 16 issues? Am I going to be able to sustain it outside of crowdfunding? Are these people only here because of crowdfunding? Are they going to stay for EGORAVEN when it's a novel and not a comic? And it's kind of like, again, it kind of like this feeling of like always starting over again. But I don't know. Yes, no, that is the idea. That is, Melissa says, special editions with them sprayed edges. No. That's exactly what I want to do. That's exactly what's going to happen, because it's like, I do want to do a collected omnibus of the 16 issues and get like one nice big hardcover book with the sprayed edges, and maybe like a Jean Brothers, like dust jacket, and like the whole bells and whistles, right? But it's like, but the question is that, it's like, by that point, is my story compelling enough after 16 issues for people to want to continue outside of that? And it's like, so that's kind of like, I don't know. I probably like, the question, the things that I ended up reading kind of like, oh, maybe there's a different way of thinking about this, or maybe I'm just making myself neurotic again, as I want to do. But you know what? It's like, look, in the end, it's like I can, hyperfixate on this all I want. But, but in the end, what it boils down to is I have this story that I want to tell. I have two, it's like, EGORAVEN 16 issues. I have the rest of Tall Tales that I want to finish. I have these two stories that I want to tell. And my goal is to finish them, because in the end, it's like everything else doesn't mean anything if I don't have a completed story in front of me. And it's like, and because so many people give up and burn out long before they even get midway, they don't even get midway through their story, much less finish it. That's the goal that I'm focusing on. That's the important part, finishing this story. And because of that, I want to thank everybody who stuck with me, through the series since I started it in 2021, officially. And it's like, and stuck with me for the series so far has picked up, the trade paperback. And I just, let's see, let's just really wrap this up. So I just want to thank the 18 people who have pledged $2,002 to this campaign so far. So as you can see, we have hit goal already, and we have 27 days to go for this campaign. So thank you everybody who have pledged. Thank you everybody who is seeing this, seeing the replay, and you can still check out the campaign, hopefully. Thank you so much to everybody. And if you're new here and you pledged, thank you so much for that as well. I appreciate everybody, all my little flowers who stuck around in my garden, and all the new, the little dandelion seeds that are flying in and deciding to settle, because dandelions are flowers too. So if you're new here and adding yourself to my garden, thank you so much for that. I appreciate every single one of you, and all I can hope is that I water you guys enough that the garden just grows, exponentially, when to the until to the point of where we hit issue 16 and beyond. So I'm sure by now, so yeah, the noise is getting a little bit, but then again, we've gone for a while without the noise getting a little too much. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for keeping me company in the chat. Thank you so much to my beautiful eyeball people watching, from regions beyond. You had me in the background. You pledged to the campaign. You got your own work done while you were listening to me. I don't know. What do you guys think about this whole thought about an indie comics middle class that's missing, about crowdfunding being confused for a career builder as opposed to being treated like the freelance gig that it is? What do you think about, that thought? Maybe we could talk about it more in detail, at another, on another episode. Because like I said, it's like I thought that this was like kind of like a different way of thinking about it. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So if you want to learn more about me and my artwork and everything else going on, including the campaign that's live right now, you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can read EGORAVEN, Heir of the First Unicorn, for free. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales. That's TAILsonline.com, and read the archive of over 1,000 pages there. So it'll definitely keep you busy. And while you're on my websites, make sure that you sign up for my newsletter. Where right here, also here, if you're not on the website yet, you can hit this QR code where you can keep up to date with all of my new art, sketchbooks, comics, Kickstarters, everything, and get a free PDF comics bundle just for joining. You get samples of EGORAVEN, Tall Tales, and the Oswald Chronicles to read for free just for joining and getting updated on all our work. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Thank you, everybody who have pledged to the campaign. I appreciate every single one of you. We have 27 days to go. So if you're just tuning in now, the link is to the Kickstarter is in the link. It is in the chat and in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for joining me. And hopefully next week, Nita will be back. So maybe we can discuss more about this idea that I was ruminating on for the episode. But thank you so much again. And in the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work. And because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. Thank you so much again. And I will see you next time. What an ending. What an ending.
told him I can be a